Hi guys, it's Jade from Boho Bookworm. I'm bringing you my December wrap-up a few days early this month because my parents are actually arriving from South Africa for Christmas. So I'm going to have a couple of days where I'm probably not going to be reading much and I won't have time to upload either while they're here in Spain for Christmas. I read a total of 8 books this month, which is good going for me because I am a little bit of a slow reader, but 3 of them were 3-star ratings, 1 was a 4-star rating, 2 were 2-star ratings, and I am still busy with 1 book which I haven't gotten around to finishing yet, but I hope to finish it today. So without further ado, let's get into what I read this month. The first book I read this month was Vega Bonding, An Uncommon Guide to the Art of Long-Term World Travel by Rolf Potts. Sorry, I had to read that because it's a big title. I actually ended up listening to this book on Audible, and it's the first Audible book I actually really did enjoy. This book definitely has a lot of good advice for travellers, especially if you're travelling for the first time. I also think that it's definitely meant for those of us who want to travel for an extended period of time rather than a week or 2. The author sheds light on different ways of thinking during difficult situations you may face while you're on the road. It's definitely a very resourceful book, but I think that's kind of more of what it really was, that it was more of a reference book to me than anything else. It just had a lot of quotes and stories from other travellers, and that suggests that the author himself is very well read, but I would have preferred to have more of his own stories within the book. I gave it a 3-star rating. Picked up Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. I was really struggling between a 3.5 and a 4-star review for this because for a debut novel it is really, really good. It's about a woman called Christine Lucas who has had an accident, and every morning she wakes up and she has absolutely no idea what's happened to her. She's aged dramatically because from what she remembers, some days she wakes up thinking that she's still a child when in fact she's actually in her mid-40s. So every day of her life she has to piece everything back together, who her husband is, where she is, the house she's living in, and so on and so forth, which made the book slightly repetitive, which is why I didn't give it full stars. But in general I really did enjoy it. It was a bit slow paced due to the repetitiveness, but near the ending there's such a big twist and it's fantastic and it's page turning and definitely one that you should check out. I picked up We've Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Confession. This is the first classic I have ever read. It was written or published in 1962. It's about 2 sisters and their disabled uncle who live in this castle, and they've become quite reclusive because there was a mass murder of the family, and the town they live in, the community suspects that one of the sisters murdered her own family members, and they just get tormented, so they've kind of just locked themselves away into this castle. But you quickly realise that the other sister might be the one responsible, and she's really creepy and sinister and probably dealing with a lot of psychological issues. I found this book really bizarre, but at the same time very enjoyable. I was surprised for a classic that I enjoyed it so much and that it was so easy to read. It was in fact my highest rating of this month. I gave it 4 stars. Of Broken Wheel Recommend by Katarina Bivold was next. This is about a woman who is 28 and she's just lost her job in Sweden, so she decides to take a bit of a break from life and travel to Iowa, where she plans to meet her pen pal, a fellow book lover. When she arrives, she quickly discovers that her pen pal has in fact died. So she's in this foreign country completely alone, doesn't know anyone, and it's just about her kind of bonding with the community. She opens up a little bookstore, she falls in love with one of the guys in the town, and it's a little fluffy, lovely chick lit book, and in a way I am quite sad that I gave it such a low rating. I only marked it as a 2-star read for me, but there was something about it. I think what ruined it the most for me was probably the fact that it gave away so many spoilers for other books like Jane Eyre, but at the same time there were a lot of quotes that I really did thoroughly enjoy throughout this book, and it did also seem to be quite relatable for me because I'm also a little bit lost in life right now, and I like the idea of her going to a new town and starting over, which is something I've been thinking about doing lately. I think for me it was just a tad too sugary. I finally finished a book that I have been listening to on Audible for an embarrassingly long time, Dragonfly and Amber by Vega Bonding, but you know, it is 38 hours long in my defense. I was so disappointed in this book. Outlander was phenomenal, a 5-star read for me. I think it is actually the best book I read in 2015. So Dragonfly and Amber completely disappointed me. I only gave it a 2-star rating on Goodreads. It just fell flat. I didn't enjoy Claire and Jamie together at all. Maybe it lost a bit of its magic because I listened to it rather than actually turn pages. I think that could be possible, but I just felt like this book had no direction, although maybe my attention just wasn't there. I wasn't that focused on it, to be honest. Jamie and Claire in this book are trying to change history, but they just keep losing each other, and I was just like, what? How do you keep doing that? How do you keep freaking losing each other? Hold on tight. There is a cliffhanger though, and yes, I will be picking up book 3 because I have heard that book 3 is fantastic. So when I feel like it, I will get around to book 3. I gave in to some peer pressure and picked up Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. This is about a boy who's 16 years old and his grandfather passes away in his arms after being brutally murdered, but the police try and pass it off as a dog attack. Jacob becomes intent on discovering more out about his grandfather and also finding out what really happened with regards to how he died. So he travels over to this to this isolated island where his grandfather actually grew up in an orphanage, and now when he gets there, the orphanage has been abandoned and it's just this crumbling ruin. He starts to think that his journey there has been a waste, but when all seems lost, this peculiar little girl shows up and his questions become answered. I must say that this book is not what I thought it would be. A lot of people mentioned that it had a bit of a Harry Potter feel to it, and I must say I didn't pick that up at all. And also, I mean, looking at it, it looks like it would be super creepy, and I was expecting a creepy book, but it just wasn't creepy for me at all. I also felt like the book was predominantly centered around the photographs that are in the book. Let's see if I can find one. See, and every time before they show a picture, they start describing the picture, and it almost felt a bit forced to me, if you understand that. So yeah, by the last 100 pages, I was just feeling a bit exhausted by it and just wanting it to end. But it was a lot more maturely written than I had expected it to be. I found it unique, gripping, descriptive, fun, fast-paced. Maybe it was a connection to the characters that was lacking from this book for me, but I guess that's why there's the second book in this series. I will be picking it up at some stage. It just didn't blow me away. Maybe it was another book that was a bit overhyped on BookTube in my, my opinion, but I ended up giving it a 3-star rating on Goodreads. My Audible account got a new credit. I decided to purchase Crazy Love You by Lisa Unger. The author has actually sent me a signed copy of this book, but I left it in South Africa with my folks, so I decided, well, I'm going to buy it and listen to it because I can't wait to get back to South Africa and read the physical copy. So I have about 3 or 2 hours left of that. Oh, sun, sorry. Well, that's gonna bugger up the lighting for the rest of this video, isn't it? Anyway, I must say the narrator for the Audible book is actually fantastic. I really enjoy his voice and listening to him, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the story. It is gripping and suspenseful and intense, and it's quite sexy as well and primal. And yeah, I'm actually surprised at how good it is. I wasn't expecting much because I just, I picked the book up in Bali ages ago, and I was so upset because when I wanted to start reading it, the book was missing a whole heap of pages. So then I think I ended up tweeting about it or doing something, and the author actually got in touch and was like, oh, well, I'll send you a signed copy. So I was like, okay. And you know, because it was not a very well looked after book, I don't know if I wasn't really expecting too much from it, and I'm actually really, really enjoying it. It's about this guy, forgotten his name now, Ian, and he is a graphic novelist. He does his own artwork and all that, and he meets this girl who no one believes that she exists, and she's quite sinister and creepy, and if someone bullies him or something as a child, she goes and sorts them out. But as they grow up, she's starting to kind of manipulate him and control him, and it's just really spooky because when he moves on and he wants to start seeing this woman called Megan and marry her and have her babies and all that shit we seem to do with our lives, she does not like this manipulative woman. So bad things start to happen, and it's very intriguing. I'm enjoying it a lot. I finally picked up Saga yesterday and I'm almost finished already. This is very different from anything that I am used to. It's also very weird, but I'm enjoying it. Yeah, don't really know what to say yet, but yeah. So they are the books that I'm still reading, Crazy Love You and Saga. So I cannot give you my rating for them yet, but I'm fairly certain I will be finished them before the end of December. And if I am, you can check out my Goodreads ratings for them. I'll leave my link to my Goodreads down below. I posted a picture on my Bookstagram account asking between two books which you guys think I should read next, and it was between Something in Between by Melissa de la Cruz or Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, and not one person ended up saying Something in Between, so Anna Karenina it is. I was kind of hoping to read more smaller books before the end of the year so that I could try and somehow meet my Goodreads goal, but it's not going to happen anyway. So I'm really excited to read this. It is an absolute chunker of a book, so I'll let you know how it goes. I'll probably only get through the first 100 or so pages by the end of the year, so I will be continuing it into 2017. Let me know if you've read it down below and what you thought of it, because I'm really excited to read another classic, and it's Russian literature, so excited. Let me know what your favourite read of December was and what you're currently reading in the comments down below. I'll chat to you guys soon. Oh, and by the way, this is probably going to be my last video for the year, so Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that jazz. Have a great time and don't drink and drive.